The beeping sound woke Captain Ju Kim from deep sleep. Red lights flashed across the dark room. He sat up quickly and pressed the comm button by his bed. "Captain here. What's happening?" "Sir, we found something," said Hana Park, her voice shaking with excitement. "You need to see this now." 10 minutes later, Ju stood on the bridge of the Horizon Asterisk, Earth's most advanced deep space ship. Through the main window, he saw the golden light of Ta City, a star much like Earth's sun. The ship had traveled for 15 years to reach this place, though the crew had slept most of that time. "There," Hannah pointed at the screen. Her dark eyes were wide with wonder. "The signal is coming from the third planet." Jumu looked at the readings. The clear pattern repeated over and over. Not random noise. Not natural. "Someone is saying hello," he said softly. Dojin Lee, the security officer, crossed his arms. "Or setting a trap. Either way, we need to check," Ju said. "Ready the landing ship. Hana, Dojin, you're with me." The small landing ship broke through clouds that looked just like Earth's. Below them stretched wide green plains and blue rivers. The signal grew stronger as they followed it to its source. "Look there." Hannah pointed at the ground below. Structures dotted the landscape. Not cities like on Earth, but round buildings made of some brown material, arranged in perfect circles. "Someone lives here," Ju said. "Someone smart." They landed in an open field. Tests showed the air was safe to breathe. When the door opened, warm wind rushed in, carrying sweet smells like fresh grass and flowers. "Stay alert," Dojin said, checking his gun. He didn't raise it, but kept his hand near. They walked down the ramp onto the soft ground. In the distance, shapes moved toward them. Ju used his field glasses to see better. "Are those cows?" he asked, confused. Hana took the glasses. "No, but close. They look like Earth's bison, but standing on two legs." As the creatures came closer, the humans saw more details. They walked upright on two thick legs. Their upper bodies were massive and covered in brown fur. Their heads were large with two curved horns and deep dark eyes. Despite looking somewhat like Earth's bison, they moved with clear purpose and intelligence. "They're wearing things," Hana whispered. "Look, around their necks and waists." The creatures wore simple cloth wraps and carried long staffs. They stopped about 20 meters away. The largest one stepped forward. "I'm activating the universal translator," Hana said, tapping her wrist device. "Though I doubt it will work right away." The large creature made a low sound, somewhere between a moo and a deep hum. Its body swayed slightly. The ground under the human's feet vibrated. "They're communicating through vibrations," Hana said, excitement in her voice. "Not just sound. They're sending waves through the ground." Ju took a careful step forward and bowed deeply, a greeting from his home culture. The lead creature watched him, then bent its massive body forward in a similar motion. "It's copying you," Hana said. "It understands this is communication." Over the next few hours, the humans and the creatures, which Hana named Toru, tried to communicate. The Toru showed no fear, only deep curiosity. They touched the humans' equipment with gentle care. When Ju showed them a simple light from his pocket tool, they stepped back in what seemed like awe. As the sun began to set, the Toru made gestures that seemed to invite the humans to follow. "Should we go with them?" Ju asked. "It could be dangerous," Dojin warned. Hana was already packing her gear. "This is why we came 15 light years, Captain. To meet someone new." Ju nodded. "Call the ship, tell them where we're going. We'll stay in contact." As darkness fell, the humans followed the Toru across the wide plains toward the circular structures. The stars above were both strange and familiar. Somewhere far away was Earth. But here, right now, humanity was making history. The first contact had begun. 3 months passed quickly. The humans built a small base near the largest Toru settlement. Every day brought new discoveries. Subin Choi spent most days with her translator device, working to understand the Toru language. She was thin and quiet, with a gift for patterns. While others saw random movements, Subin saw meaning. They don't just talk with sounds, she told Juwoo one evening. Their whole body speaks. A tail flick means one thing. A horn dip means another. Juwoo nodded. Dark circles hung under his eyes. Have you made progress? Yes. Look at this. She showed him her tablet. My program can now translate basic ideas. Not perfect, but it works. Outside the base, Hannah studied Toru biology. The aliens allowed her to scan them and take small samples of fur. She learned they had large, complex brains and an unusual nervous system that ran through their entire bodies. It's like each Toru is a walking radio tower, she explained to the team. They send signals we can't see. Dojin remained cautious. He watched from a distance as more Toru visited the human base each day. They're learning too much about us, he warned. We still know so little about them. But Minho Kang, the team's engineer, didn't share these fears. Tall and friendly, he enjoyed showing the Toru how human tools worked. The aliens watched with deep focus as he fixed equipment and built new devices. One cold evening, Minho made a fire outside the base. He used a simple lighter, then showed how to make sparks with stones. The Toru stepped back when the flames first rose, their large eyes reflecting the orange light. It's okay, Minho said softly, even though they couldn't fully understand his words. It's just fire. He held his hands out to show how the fire gave warmth. Slowly, one brave Toru stepped forward and extended a three-fingered hand toward the heat. A low rumble, like a happy cow, came from its chest. They've never made fire, Hannah realized, watching from nearby. Their planet has all the right materials, but they never discovered it. Soon all the Toru gathered around the flames. They made vibrations the humans could feel through their boots. When Minho showed how to cook food over fire, the Toru seemed both confused and amazed. That night, Juwoo had a strange dream. He stood in a wide, silent field. No birds sang. No wind blew. Just endless quiet stretching forever. He woke feeling odd, like he had forgotten something important. At breakfast, Hannah looked tired too. I had the strangest dream, she said. Just silence. Complete silence. Juwoo froze with his cup halfway to his mouth. Me too. In the weeks that followed, Minho taught the Toru more about fire. They learned quickly, soon building their own fire pits and tools for cooking. They brought strange plants to roast and shared them with the humans. The food tasted sweet, like carrots mixed with honey. The Toru leader, whom they called Elder because of its gray fur, seemed especially interested in learning. It spent hours watching Minho work. Its large dark eyes missed nothing. One day, Elder approached Juwoo and Subin. Using Subin's translation program, they had their first real conversation. Your fire gift changes us. The rough translation read, We will give gift too. Juwoo smiled. We're happy to share knowledge. Elder made a movement Subin hadn't seen before. Her translator couldn't capture its meaning. What gift will you give us? Juwoo asked. Elder's response was simple. Peace in Mindstorm. None of the humans understood what this meant. But that night, all of them dreamed of silent fields again. And in the morning, they woke feeling strangely empty, as if parts of their minds had been swept clean. The cultural exchange had begun, but not in the way they expected. 1 week later, Elder sent a message to the human base. The Toru wanted to hold a special gathering. All humans were invited. The message said it was time for giving and taking. It's some kind of ceremony, Subin explained to the team. Very important to them. Juwoo called everyone together. This is a big step, he said. We should bring gifts. Hana suggested tools. Dojun thought weapons would be better left behind. Minho had the winning idea. Let's give them fire-making kits, he said. Simple ones, flint, steel, and tinder in a small box. They worked all day making 20 kits. Each wooden box held stones for sparks, dry grass for catching fire, and simple instructions with pictures. The next day, the humans walked to the central Toru settlement. The round buildings looked different now. New shapes and colors decorated the walls. Fires burned in stone circles outside each home. They learned fast, Dojin said quietly. Hundreds of Toru gathered in a large open space. They stood in perfect circles, the youngest in the center, the oldest on the outside. Elder stepped forward when the humans arrived. It wore a new covering with bright red patterns. Using Subin's translator, Elder spoke. Humans gave fire, changed our seeing, changed our being. Now we give back. Elder raised its arms. From behind, a line of young Toru came forward. Each carried a small object that caught the sunlight and threw rainbow colors across the ground. Crystals, Hana whispered. They're giving us crystals. Each human received a crystal about the size of a small egg. They were clear like glass, but seemed to shimmer from within. When Juu held his, he felt a strange calm spread through his mind. Thank you, he said, bowing to Elder. Minho stepped forward with the fire-making kits. These are for you, he said, so each family can make their own fire. The Toru made their happy rumbling sound. They touched the boxes with gentle fingers, treating them like precious treasures. The ceremony continued with food and drinks. The Toru had prepared cooked meals using their new fire skills. Sweet roots and strange fruits tasted better warm. As the sun set, the Toru began a performance. They moved in patterns while making the ground vibrate with their feet. The humans felt the vibrations move up through their legs and into their chests. It's beautiful, Hana said, smiling. Like music you feel instead of hear. Later that night, back at their base, the humans studied the crystal gifts. Hana's tests showed nothing special about them. No radiation, no unusual elements, just pretty stones. Why give us these? Dojin asked, still suspicious. Maybe they're just beautiful to them. Subin suggested. Art has value too. Before bed, Juu placed his crystal on the small table by his bed. Its soft shimmer was the last thing he saw before closing his eyes. That night, no one dreamed. Not Juu, not Hana, not anyone except Dojin, who had left his crystal in the lab. In the morning, the crew met for breakfast. Everyone looked refreshed except Dojin. I slept so well, Minho said, stretching. No dreams at all. Me too, said Subin. Just nothing. It was nice. Juu nodded, like turning off a noisy engine. Just silence. Dojin frowned. I had nightmares all night. Strange ones. He looked at the others. Where are your crystals? By my bed, Hana said. The others nodded. Mine is in the lab, Dojin said slowly. And I'm the only one who had dreams. A chill went through the room as they all looked at each other. What exactly did the Toru give us? Juu asked quietly. Outside, the alien sun rose over the Toru settlement. Smoke from many fires lifted into the clear morning sky. The crystals on the humans' bedside tables caught the light, throwing small rainbows across the walls. 6 months passed. The Toru world changed quickly. What started as simple cooking fires had become much more. Juu stood on a hill with Subin, watching smoke rise from Toru workshops. In half a year, the aliens had gone from making simple fires to working with metal. New buildings rose across the plains, tall structures made of wood and stone. It's too fast, Juu said, shaking his head. No species learns this quickly. Subin nodded. They're sharing knowledge somehow. What one learns, they all know. She frowned. But they talk to us less now. It was true. At first, the Toru had come to the human base daily, eager to learn. Now weeks passed without visitors. When humans went to Toru settlements, they were greeted politely but briefly. They're busy, Minho said when Ju mentioned this at dinner. Building a new world. Minho had changed. Dark circles hung under his eyes, but he smiled more. His crystal sat on the table beside his plate, larger than before. All the crystals had grown slightly over the months. Most of the crew kept their crystals closed now. The peaceful sleep was addictive. No dreams, no racing thoughts, just perfect darkness and rest. Some, like Minho, carried them during the day too. Only Dojin and 3 others refused. There's something wrong with those things, Dojin insisted. They're changing us. That night, Dojin couldn't sleep. He got up to check the security cameras. On one screen, he saw Minho leaving the base. This had happened before. Dojin decided to follow. Outside, the air was cool. 3 moons lit the path as Dojin tracked Minho to the edge of the largest Toru settlement. There, among new metal buildings, Minho met with a group of Toru. 5 humans were already there. Dojin moved closer to hear. The network grows stronger, one Toru was saying through a translator device. Soon the silence will be complete. Minho nodded. I feel it spreading. The empty space where thoughts used to race. The void is beautiful, another human said. No more worry, no more fear. Dojin backed away slowly, then ran to wake Ju. The captain listened to his report with growing concern. I've been too focused on the science, Ju admitted. I missed what was happening to our people. The next morning, Ju called everyone together. We need to study these crystals more carefully, he said. Dojin saw something concerning last night. Minho's face darkened. You were spying on me. You were sneaking out, Dojin replied, meeting with Toru and other humans in secret. The room split quickly. Those who kept crystals near them stood with Minho. Those few who didn't stood with Ju and Dojin. The crystals help us, Subin said. Her voice was flat, emotion missing. They give peace. They're changing you, Hannah said. She had stopped using her crystal weeks ago after noticing her emotions dulling. Changing how you think. Minho touched his crystal. Evolution happens. We are becoming better. We should collect all crystals until we understand them, Ju ordered. Minho smiled slightly. Too late, Captain. That afternoon, the ship's communication array stopped working. Someone had damaged it. They could no longer contact Earth. Ju, Dojin, and Hana locked themselves in the command center. Half the crew is affected, Hana reported. They all have crystals. Outside the window, they could see the Toru city. New towers rose higher than before. Smoke poured from large buildings where metal was being shaped. In just 6 months, the Toru had jumped thousands of years in technology. What are they building? Dojin wondered. Jumu looked grim. The better question is, what are they turning our people into? On his desk sat the translator device. A message from Elder waited there. Fire gave us tools. Now silence will give you peace. All voices becoming one voice. All minds becoming one mind. This is our gift to you. The revolution had begun, not with noise and violence, but with perfect, spreading silence. 3 days passed. Ju, Dojin, and Hana stayed locked in the command center, taking turns to sleep. Outside, the rest of the crew walked around the base like shadows. They spoke little and moved in strange, matching ways. Hana spent hours studying the crystal she had stopped using. Under the strongest microscope, she saw something shocking. Captain, look at this, she called. Ju looked through the microscope. Inside the crystal, tiny structures like webs or nets spread in all directions. What am I seeing? He asked. Neural networks, Hana said. Like brain cells, but not made of living tissue. These crystals have patterns like brains. Dojin frowned. Are they alive? Not exactly, Hana said. But they can connect to living brains. I think they're nodes in a network. When we sleep near them, they connect to our minds. A soft knock came at the door. Subin's voice called out. Please let me in. I need to talk. Dojin checked the camera. She's alone. Juwoo nodded, and Dojin opened the door just enough for Subin to slip inside. She looked tired, her eyes red from crying. I stopped using the crystal, she said. It was hard, like giving up a drug. What happened? Juwoo asked. Subin sat down heavily. I learned how the Toru communicate. It's not just sounds and movements. Their whole species has a shared mind. They think together. A hive mind? Hana asked. Yes, but natural. They evolved that way. Subin explained. Each Toru is an individual, but also part of the whole. The crystals are how they connect to each other. And now to us, Dojin said darkly. Subin nodded. The crystals dampen parts of our brains, the parts that make us separate, individual. They quiet our inner voice. That's why sleep feels so peaceful, Hana realized. No mental chatter. But it doesn't stop there. Subin continued. Over time, the crystals don't just quiet our thoughts. They connect us to the Toru network. A loud boom shook the building. Outside, black smoke rose from the base's power station. They're cutting the power, Dojin said, checking cameras. Minho is leading them. Juwoo made a quick decision. We need to get to the backup ship. It's our only way off this planet now. They packed quickly. Food, water, weapons, and Hana's research. As emergency lights switched on, they slipped out through a maintenance tunnel. Outside, the world had changed again. The Toru city now spread across the entire valley. Metal towers reached toward the sky. Strange machines moved on the roads between buildings. 6 months, whispered Juwoo. Just 6 months from fire to this. The hive mind, Hana said. When one Toru learns something, they all learn it. And now our people are feeding them human knowledge too. They moved carefully through tall grass, staying hidden. The small backup ship waited at the far edge of the landing field, covered by a tarp. As they reached the ship, Minho stepped out from behind it. His eyes looked empty, and he held his crystal in his hand. It glowed faintly in the fading light. You should join us, he said. His voice sounded flat. The silence is beautiful. That's not you talking, Juwoo said. It's them. Through you. Minho tilted his head. The movement looked more Toru than human. We are becoming one great mind. No more fear. No more pain. No more loneliness. No more being human, Dojin said. Minho stepped forward. The change is coming to all humans. Not just here. When ships arrive from Earth, we will share our gift. Earth is sending ships. Hana asked. Our last signal reached them, Minho said. They come to help. They will join us instead. Dojin raised his weapon. We won't let that happen. Minho smiled strangely. You four against all of us. Against the whole Toru species. The odds are not good. Behind them, more crystal-carrying humans and several Toru appeared from the tall grass. You gave us fire, Minho said. Now let us give you silence. Dojin moved fast. He fired his weapon at the ground near Minho's feet. The flash and noise caused confusion. In that moment, Juwoo pushed Minho aside, and the four ran to the small ship. Get inside, Juwoo shouted. Hana jumped in first, followed by Subin. Dojin kept firing to keep the others back while Juwoo started the engines. Hurry, Hana called. Just as Dojin was about to climb in, a Toru appeared behind him. It pressed a crystal against his neck. Dojin froze, his eyes going wide. Leave now, Juwoo shouted to Dojin, seeing what was happening. With great effort, Dojin pulled away from the crystal and jumped into the ship. Juwoo closed the door and lifted off. Crystal-carrying humans watched silently as they flew away. That was close, Hana said, checking Dojin for injuries. Are you okay? Dojin nodded, but his hand shook. When that crystal touched me, I felt it. The silence, pulling me in. The small ship flew low over the landscape. Below them, the Toru civilization had spread across the plains. Factories belched smoke. Metal structures caught the sunlight. "Where can we go?" Subin asked. "They'll find us eventually." Juwu pointed to mountains in the distance. "The scanner shows caves there. We can hide and make a plan." As they flew, they saw something strange. Small groups of Toru were moving away from the cities, heading into wildlands. "Not all of them want the new technology," Subin said, watching through binoculars. "Look how they move, different from the city Toru." Juwu landed the ship in a valley between mountains. They hid it under branches and leaves, then explored the area. They found a cave with a small stream running through it. "This will work for now," Juwu said. "We need to understand what's happening and warn Earth." That night, they took turns keeping watch. During her shift, Hana heard movement outside. She woke the others. "Something's out there," she whispered. Dojin readied his weapon. Juwu motioned for everyone to stay quiet. The cave entrance darkened as something large moved in front of it. A Toru stepped into view, but different from the ones they knew. Its fur was longer, its movements more animal-like. It carried no crystal. Behind it came 3 more like it. "They're wild," Subin whispered, "like the ones we saw leaving the cities." The lead Toru made a low sound. It placed a bundle of fruits on the ground, then backed away slowly. "They're bringing us food," Hana said in surprise. Juwu stepped forward slowly, hands open to show he had no weapon. The wild Toru watched him carefully but didn't run. Using simple hand movements, Juwu tried to communicate. He pointed to the city, then made a crystal shape with his hands, then shook his head. The lead Toru seemed to understand. It made the same crystal shape, then pressed its hands to its head and shook violently, as if in pain. "They know about the crystals," Subin said. "They reject them." Over the next few days, the wild Toru returned with food. Subin worked to communicate with them. Slowly, through gestures and drawings, she learned their story. "They call themselves the Untethered," she told the others. "They left when the crystals became stronger. They say the crystals are ancient things, older than the Toru themselves." "Ancient technology?" Hana asked. "From a previous civilization?" "No," Subin said. "Something else. Something that was always here, in the ground. The Untethered say it. Sleeps below. The fire woke it up." Dojin frowned. "What does that mean?" A deep rumble shook the ground, like distant thunder, but the sky was clear. "I think," Juwu said slowly, "we're about to find out." From the mouth of the cave, they could see the distant Toru city. A faint glow surrounded it now, pulsing like a heartbeat. The silent uprising had begun. But who, or what, was really behind it remained to be seen. 3 weeks passed in the mountains. The humans and untethered Toru grew to trust each other. The lead Toru, whom they named Scout, taught them how to find food and water. One morning, Dojin spotted something in the sky. "Look, up there." 3 large ships broke through the clouds. Earth ships, coming to rescue them. "No," Juwu said, his face pale. "They don't know what they're flying into." Hana grabbed the radio they had fixed. "We have to warn them." She sent message after message, but no one answered. The Earth ships flew straight toward the main Toru city, which now glowed day and night with strange blue light. "We need to get there," Juwu decided, before they land. Scout and 2 other untethered offered to guide them through secret paths. They traveled quickly, moving through forests and hills to avoid being seen. As they got closer to the city, they saw how much it had changed. Tall towers reached into the sky. Strange machines moved through the streets. The Toru looked different too. They wore metal devices on their horns and backs. "What are those things?" Subin asked. Scout made gestures that Subin now understood. "He says they are voice boxes. They help the Toru connect better to whatever is below." They reached a hill overlooking the landing area just as the Earth ships touched down. Soldiers in protective suits came out first, followed by scientists and diplomats. "We're too late," Dojin said. A large group of Toru and crystal-carrying humans waited to greet the new arrivals. Among them stood Minho, now wearing strange metal bands on his arms and head. Through binoculars, Ju watched as the Earth team approached. At first, they kept their distance, weapons ready. Then Minho stepped forward. "He's telling them it's safe," Ju said. "They're lowering their weapons." The Earth team leader removed his helmet. Minho smiled and shook his hand. Then he motioned to someone behind him. Subin stepped forward. "That's not me," she gasped. But it looked exactly like her. The second Subin approached the Earth team, carrying a box. "Crystals," Hana whispered. "They're using your face to make the Earth team trust them." They watched helplessly as the fake Subin handed out crystals, explaining them as welcome gifts. Most of the Earth team accepted them, examining the shining stones with interest. "We have to stop this," Dojin said. A new ship appeared in the sky. Larger than the others, the name on its side read, HFY Park. "Captain Park," Ju said with hope. "He's smart. Careful. Maybe he'll see through this." The new ship landed away from the others. When its door opened, Captain Yunho Park stepped out with his crew. Unlike the other teams, they kept their protective gear on. Minho and fake Subin approached them. Through the binoculars, Ju could see Captain Park shaking his head, refusing something. "He's rejecting the crystals," Ju said. Suddenly, the whole landing area erupted in activity. The Earth team members who had accepted crystals turned on those who hadn't. Captain Park's crew retreated to their ship, firing weapons to keep the others back. "We need to help them," Dojin said, checking his weapon. Hana grabbed his arm. "Look!" The ground around the city began to split open. Long cracks appeared, glowing with the same blue light as the towers. From the largest crack, something began to rise. "What is that?" Subin asked, her voice shaking. A massive crystal structure, as big as a building, pushed up through the ground. It pulsed with light, sending waves across the sky. At that moment, every human and Toru carrying a crystal froze. Then, as one, they turned toward the giant crystal and bowed. "The silence," Ju whispered. "It's taking physical form." Scout made urgent movements. Subin translated. "He says the Ancient One wakes." The voice stealer rises. "We must run." But there was nowhere left to run. The silence was spreading, and now it had more voices to claim. "We need to help Captain Park's team," Ju said. "They're our only chance." They watched as Park's ship lifted off, barely escaping the crystal carriers. It flew toward the mountains, away from the city. "They're coming our way," Hana said. "Maybe they detected our small ship." Scout and the untethered Toru led them back through hidden paths. When they reached their cave, they found Captain Park and 5 crew members waiting. Their ship sat hidden in the trees. "Captain Kim," Park said when he saw Ju. "We thought everyone was lost." After quick introductions, they shared what they knew. Park's team had been suspicious from the start. "Something felt wrong," Park explained. "The way they all moved together, the way they spoke in the same tone. And those crystals." He shuddered. "I've seen mind control tech before. This is something worse." Hana showed Park her research. "The crystals connect to a hive mind, but they're just tools. The real power is that." She pointed toward the city, where the giant crystal now towered above everything. "What is it?" Park asked. "The untethered call it the voice stealer," Subin explained. "They say it's ancient, older than the Toru. It lived deep underground until we came." "And taught them fire," Ju added. "Somehow, our arrival and the introduction of fire technology woke it up." Scout made a series of movements. Subin translated. "Heat traveling down. Fire in the ground. Woke the sleeping one." Dojin nodded. "The Toru never discovered fire because the entity below prevented it. It feared being awakened, and now it's using the Toru and our people to build. What? Park asked. Hannah's eyes widened. A network. It's building a physical network to extend its reach. The towers, the machines, the crystals, they're all transmitters. If it spreads to Earth, Park didn't finish the thought. He didn't need to. They spent the night making plans. One of Park's crew, a communications expert named Kyung, found something important. The crystals send and receive signals, she said. If we create the right sound frequency, we might disrupt them. Hana and Kyung worked together, using equipment from both ships. By morning, they had built a device. It creates sonic waves that should interfere with the crystal network, Hana explained. But we need to get close to the central crystal to affect the whole system. I'll go, Dojin volunteered. I've resisted the crystals longest. Not alone, Ju said. I'm coming too. And me, Hana added. Someone needs to operate the device. They prepared quickly. The untethered offered to guide them through secret tunnels that led under the city. Scout drew a map showing how to reach the central crystal. Good luck, Park said as they prepared to leave. We'll monitor from here and be ready for extraction. The tunnels were old and dark. Scout led the way, moving silently despite his large size. After hours of walking, they felt vibrations above them. We're under the city, Subin whispered. They emerged in the basement of a large building. Through windows, they could see the central crystal towering in a plaza. Hundreds of Toru and humans stood around it, perfectly still, faces blank. Look at their eyes, Hana said. Empty. The street was filled with crystal carriers, but they didn't seem to notice the small group. They were too focused on the giant crystal. They're like sleepwalkers, Ju said. They moved carefully through side streets. As they got closer to the central plaza, Dojin pointed to something. There's Minho and the fake Subin. The two stood at the base of the crystal, wearing elaborate metal headpieces. They seemed to be leading some kind of ceremony. They're not themselves anymore, Hana said sadly. Dojin checked his weapon. How close do we need to get? Within 50 meters, Hana said, holding the sonic device. But once we activate it, they'll all know we're here. Ju took a deep breath. Then we move fast. They stepped out from their hiding place and ran toward the giant crystal, ready to break the silence that had stolen so many voices. Ju, Hana, and Dojin ran across the open plaza. For a few seconds, no one noticed them. Then, as if receiving a silent alarm, every head turned toward them at once. Hurry, Ju shouted. Hana held the sonic device tightly, just 30 more meters to reach the effective range. Minho was the first to move. He stepped away from the crystal and pointed at them. In perfect unison, hundreds of crystal carriers began walking toward the three humans. Keep going. Dojin fired his weapon into the air, trying to create confusion. 20 meters. 15. 10. The first wave of crystal carriers reached them. Dojin fought them off while Ju protected Hana as she prepared the device. Almost ready, she said, turning dials on the small box. A familiar face pushed through the crowd. The fake Subin. She looked exactly like the real Subin, but her eyes were empty. Stop, she said in a flat voice. Join us in the silence. Never, Hana replied, pressing the final button on the device. A high-pitched sound filled the air, too high for human ears, but they could feel it in their teeth and bones. The crystal carriers froze. The giant crystal pulsed faster, its blue light flickering. It's working, Ju shouted. Cracks appeared on the smaller crystals that people carried. Some shattered completely. The carriers looked confused, as if waking from a deep sleep. But the giant crystal fought back. Its light turned red. The ground shook. Behind them, buildings began to crack. The signal's not strong enough, Hana said, checking the device. We need more power. Dojin looked at the Horizon, their original ship, parked nearby. The power core, he said. We can use it to boost the signal. They ran to the ship, fighting through confused crystal carriers. Inside, they found the power core still working. If we connect the device to this, it will boost the signal, Dojun explained. But it will cause an explosion. Is there another way? Ju asked. Dojun shook his head. No time. Someone has to stay and connect it manually. Silence fell between them. Then Dojun smiled sadly. I'll do it. You two get to safe distance. Dojun, no, Ju began. It was always me, Dojun said. I never trusted the crystals. Now I know why. Hana hugged him quickly. We'll tell your story. Ju gripped his friend's shoulder. No words were needed. As Ju and Hana ran from the ship, they saw the giant crystal pulsing faster. The fake Subin and Minho stood at its base, arms raised as if praying. Ju contacted Captain Park on his radio. Get airborne now. Explosion coming. They reached the edge of the plaza just as a blinding light came from the horizon asterisk. The sonic wave hit them like a physical force, knocking them down. When they looked up, the giant crystal was cracking. Light poured from the brakes. A high-pitched scream filled the air. Not human, not Toru, but something ancient and angry. The crystal shattered. The explosion knocked down everyone in the plaza. When the dust cleared, silence fell. Real silence. One by one, the crystal carriers began to move. Their eyes looked clear again. The Toru shook their heads as if waking from a long sleep. Near the ruined crystal, Minho sat up. He looked confused. Captain, he called when he saw Ju. What happened? 3 days later, the survivors gathered at the human base. Most of the affected humans and Toru had recovered. They remembered little of their time under the crystal's control. The untethered Toru joined them, no longer afraid. Scout approached Ju and made new gestures that needed no translation. He pointed to his mouth, then made a sound, rough and strange, but clearly an attempt at speech. They're learning to talk, Hana said in wonder, with their own voices. Across the base, humans and Toru sat together around fires, each group teaching the other. The Toru tried forming words with their mouths. Humans learned the body language of the Toru. Captain Park approached Ju. Earth needs to know what happened here. Yes, Ju agreed. We gave them fire, and they gave us silence. But in the end, he looked at the groups talking around the fires, each voice unique and free. In the end, we gave them something better. We gave them their own voices. In the night sky above, stars shined like distant crystals, but these lights asked for nothing in return. They simply shined, as all free things do.